I might have missed it.
get, what I do is I get in there and I get like, let's go 100 West Center, search. What I try to do is I try to get, let's say, okay, like, and Warsaw and search.
Ding, ding, ding.
It's a lot more
Well,
complicated, Cindy.
It usually comes up with that. And then once you get it up there, then you hit this little star and make it a favorite star.
Gotcha. Thank you.
What's that?
Traveling, have you?
Sorry?
Have you been doing a little traveling here?
Yeah, I was in Sweden all month.
Oh, would you?
Yeah, I just got back late Thursday.
Well, there's people
Oh,
up here that have drinks, so I think you'll be okay.
Okay.
That's what the mountain's for, right?
And the bar's open
That's what I
after.
heard earlier today.
Morgan Foss.
He gets everything there.
So you've had this computer before?
Yes.
Oh, wait, there it is. You got it right here, City Hall.
Hey, I just,
That's my house.
Okay.
6 o'clock start. Maybe you forgot.
No.
Yeah, but
Me correctly, okay.
start. Okay, I didn't see you.
I like to have a frame of reference.
Yeah, and my voice has been
Gotcha.
cruddy lately with all
Gotcha.
the allergy stuff. Okay,
I don't want to miss questions.
thank you.
I use that almost
Well, that's
Okay,
Jack's
thank you.
house.
committee on.
Oh, that's Jack's house. Yeah, well, it is. Well, sometimes we, like in redevelopment,
Just be quiet.
projects in
I
certain
know.
locations, so this way we just bring it out.
It's like,
And see where that's at. Yeah.
I just keep losing my voice right now because that's so much.
If you'd all rise, call the August 5th Common Council meeting to order. Welcome. We'll start with the invocation by Diane. Thank you, Diane.
Father, we just thank you for the privilege of being here together tonight to begin to look at our budgeting process and how we spend the money that's entrusted to us by the citizens of this great city. And we're especially grateful for every department head that is here this evening. We're grateful for the spirit of cooperation that they have with one another. We're thankful that they want to do the best, get the most out of the equipment, get the most out of the things that they have, and that they're being good stewards of both the equipment they have, of the people they have, and just the way they operate by helping one another. We just ask that we might play some small part in that by giving them the tools that they need in order to continue to serve this city. So help us listen well, help us make wise decisions, help us ask good questions, and help us come to good conclusions. Amen.
Thank you, Diane. Now the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And thank you, Diane. Welcome, everyone. For the record, Lynn, it looks like Jurgen Voss is absent at this time. The minutes from the July 15th meeting. Anybody have any questions or concerns with those?
I would move that we approve the minutes as presented.
Motion to approve, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you, Cindy. There's a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, nay. The ayes have it, Lynn. Thank you. And I want to welcome everybody here this evening. Looks like reports oral and written. We have a June fund report. Thanks, Lynn.
You're welcome. This is the fund report you were asking about earlier, Mike Clanderis, about this has the distributions from the June distribution, spring distribution.
Any questions for Lynn?
I like that top number.
It's never-
Any questions? Okay. No action needed on that, right, Lynn?
No actions
Okay.
needed on that.
There is no unfinished business. That will take us into new business, ordinance 2024-0801. This is a public hearing. Make sure that I do what needs to be done there, Scott. And as you look at it, it's an ordinance, an additional appropriation. These dollars will be used for professional services. Lynn, any comments on this?
No, we just had some unexpected bills in the council's, professional services
Okay.
appropriation, so we needed to put some more money in there to make sure we get it through to the end of the year,
Okay.
pay some bills.
Any questions from the council?
I'll make a motion, we approve ordinance
Okay,
20.
okay,
Oh,
okay. It's okay, okay, point of order, I'll ask you to hold that because it is a
It is,
public
you're
hearing,
right.
right?
Yep, good
So sorry, I didn't catch it, but any questions right now from the council?
Yeah, I just have a quick question. I know before we've done budget hearings, we've not been able to do this yet because the public hearing wasn't advertised until 7 PM. Do you know what the advertisement
It
said?
was 6 PM.
Okay, good. Just wanted to be sure.
Good question. Any other questions? Okay, Josh, appreciate your patience here. Because it is a public hearing, I'll ask at this time if anybody would like to speak in favor of ordinance 2024-0801. Would anybody like to speak in favor? Would anyone like to speak against? Share concerns about ordinance 2024-0801? Does anybody have any questions about this ordinance from the public? Okay, I'll close it to the public. I'll come back to the council. This is an ordinance, and if there aren't any more questions, Josh, I will entertain a motion.
Now I'll make the motion, we approve ordinance 2024-0801.
There's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, a motion to approve and by Josh and a second by Cindy. Any further discussion? I'll call the question. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you.
It'll come back for a second reading at the next meeting, and we're fine, we don't need to rush it through tonight.
Thank you for that. That'll take us to item number 2 on the agenda, ordinance 2024-0701, traffic sign ordinance update. Jack, I'll ask you to help us out with this.
Okay, as you remember, last meeting, we started on this and had to table it because I had created an error within it in section 74, 128 one-way stops, item 28. I had the incorrect street names on there, and I want to thank Councilor Quantz for pointing that out. As we've discussed a number of times, this can get to be rather tedious. And we will no longer be removing the wrong sign, and we'll be removing the right sign. If you'll go to map 3, I think that's will explain it to you a little bit better. We are simply removing a sign, a one-way stop sign, from the corner of Main and Union, and then placing it back in under a two-way stop along with another one. And if you look at that map, you can hopefully figure out all my chicken scratchings there and figure out just exactly what we're doing. Other than that, everything else is pretty much, well, it is all the same as it was presented at the last one, and I'll entertain any questions.
Any questions for Jack?
I think it looks great now. So I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance 2024-0701.
There is a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, a motion and a second. Thanks, Diane and Jack. Any further discussion? I'll call the question. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Thank you.
Now, we talked last time, since we had to put this out, that if we were all in agreement, we would suspend the rules and move this along so they could get this done. So is that okay with everybody? Okay, I'll make a motion that we suspend the rules so we can vote on second reading.
There's a motion to suspend the rules so we can entertain a second reading. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to suspend the rules related to this ordinance. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. We've suspended the rules for this ordinance. General recognition.
So I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance 2024-0701 on second and final reading.
There's a motion to pass on second and final reading. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you for that. Thanks, Diane.
I want to thank the council for that. We will be starting on phase 2 in the Traffic Commission this Wednesday.
Thanks, Jack.
Nope, never stops.
Okay, that takes us to item number 3 on the agenda, ordinance 2024-0802. Some changes with our promotional account. Danny, thank you.
Yes, sir. So what you have in front of you is an ordinance change. We've been operating with an ordinance from March of 1982 for the last 40-some years, right? 42 years. It's served us very well. But as the city has grown, there's a need to kind of make a couple tweaks to it and then reissue it. So the biggest difference in this is that the old ordinance, the fund was captured underneath the mayor's budget. This will allow the department heads to put funds in their own budgets to cover the items that are listed in section 2. So,
Denny, would you highlight some of the items in section 2? Do you have it in front of you or not?
yeah, absolutely. So,
Thank you.
So the departments will be able to get commemorative award plaques, certificates, pay for award banquets to recognize the service of some of their employees, buy meals or meeting room rentals if they need to go off-site or something like that. But the biggest thing is it's going to be able to take care of their employees. For instance, the fire department hasn't been able to pay for their retirement cakes out of their own accounts, so they've been working through me to be able to get that covered. This will allow them to prepare for that on their own instead of having to work through the HR office to the mayor's office to get stuff like that done.
I like this because it pushes certain things down onto the department heads. I would imagine it would alleviate an awful lot of signatures through the mayor's office.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
And you'll still have a check and balance through the Board of Works. so-
Still have it, yep.
Yes.
Good point. Not only a line item in the budgets, but also if there is any activity, it will go to the Board of Works. Very good point, Diane. Appreciate the memo that you gave to us, Denny, with the 4 points explaining why, and appreciate your efforts with this. Also, Lynn, your help. I think, Scott, you've worked on that. Any other questions? If there aren't any, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I move we accept ordinance 2024-0802 as written.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, there's a motion by Jack and a second by Josh. Any further discussion? Denny, you good?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you. Takes us to item number 4, Resolution 2024-0803, 0802. Denny, thank you.
Yeah, this is going to take a little bit more explaining because it's something that's new to us here at the city. Indiana legislature passed House Enrolled Act 1016 back on May 4th of 2023. What that did was change the language in the Indiana code in 36-8 to where one of the pieces of it is if we do not take any action prior to the beginning of, or by the end of this year, then our fire territory will be under a merit commission instead of the public safety board that we currently run under. The rules in the new law state that any department that has at least 12 full-time members and serves a population of over 20,000 citizens will automatically have this merit commission unless we pass a resolution to reject it. And that's why we're talking about the fire department, not the police department. The territory is over 20,000. The city population is not at 20,000 yet. So that's why there's a difference between one and the other. With this change, Warsaw Wayne Fire Territory currently has 38 sworn firefighters and serves a population of over 20,000. The territory was formed in 2010 and has been overseen by the Board of Public Works and Safety since its inception. Meetings were held with all members of our department on July 2nd and July 3rd. We discussed the differences between a merit board and a safety board. We also gave everyone the resources and encouraged them to do their own research to make an informed decision. Everyone was briefed on the chief's stance, and they were also told that this resolution would be forthcoming. So in order for this, the way the law states it, if you all decide to accept this resolution and we reject the formation of a merit commission, not before 3 weeks, but within 60 days. So between 3 weeks and 60 days, the fire department will also have a vote from their members via secret ballot. If they choose to say they want a merit commission, then we will still have a merit commission regardless of what your vote is here today. If you guys decide that you don't want this resolution, then we will have a merit commission regardless of anything else. So both parties have to agree to reject the formation of the merit commission. Essentially what this law has done is kind of flip this on its head. Before we would vote to have a merit commission, and if we didn't, we would stick with what we had. Now they've turned it upside down, and we have to vote to not have a merit commission and keep it with the Board of Safety, if that's the route that we wish to go. So differences between a merit commission and a safety board. Our safety board is a 3-member board. Safety board follows statutory procedures concerning hiring, promotions, and discipline. It allows the chief to have the flexibility of running the hiring process. Promotions are based on the recommendation of the chief, and the board oversees disciplinary actions in excess of 40 hours. So the chief has the authority to suspend without pay up to 40 hours. A merit commission is a 5-member commission. The way it works out is the mayor appoints 2 members. You, the board, would appoint 1 member, and then the fire department would vote, and they would have 2 appointees as well on the commission. Now, of those 2 and the 2 that the mayor does, one has to be Republican, the other one has to be a Democrat or independent. It can't be the same political parties. They have to be separate political parties. The commission must adopt regulations governing hiring, promotions, and disciplinary procedures. They're required to maintain a hiring list at all times, and the list is good for 2 years. All promotions must be from next to lower rank, and members must have held that rank for a period determined by the commission and its rules. They also oversee disciplinary actions in excess of 40 hours. So our requirements, again, to reject the resolution, you all have to pass, to reject the formation of the commission, you all have to vote for this resolution saying that we do not want a merit commission. Again, within 60 days, but not before 3 weeks, a vote will be scheduled for all full-time members of the department. And a secret ballot vote will be conducted with all full-time paid members of the territory who would be affected by this commission. So, for instance, the CARES team, the EMS chief, the 2 admins would not fall under this commission, so they would not be a part of that vote. But all of the sworn firefighters would be a part of that vote. If we decide to move forward with a merit commission, the territory will be under control of a merit commission beginning January 1st of 2025. All appointments must be done by March 1st of 2025, so we would have 60 days to appoint the members of the commission. The merit commission would then must adopt rules governing meetings by March 31st of 2025. So they would have 30 days to write the rules concerning their meetings. Within 90 days of appointment, the commission shall adopt rules governing the selection and appointment of members, promotions and demotions, and disciplinary actions. So a lot of the departments that I've seen, they're like 30, 40-page books of what their rules are. And it's typically the larger departments, such as Fort Wayne, Indianapolis, Carmel, those types of departments that have a lot of guys. Before the rules are adopted, a public hearing must be held to consider the adoption of the rules. And then 10 days before the hearing, 3 copies of the proposed rules must be forwarded to the chief, along with a copy to the city and territory administrative staffs for inspection by citizens. So we would have to make sure that Lynn's office has a copy of that rule book along with Wayne Township secretary. So in summary, after thoroughly researching the merit system and after discussions with the chief, it is our opinion that the merit system would not be in the best interest of our department or our firefighters. We feel this system would slow down the progress that Chief Schilling has made to this point regarding the morale and culture of the department. And Chief Schilling has made it clear to me that he does not want a merit system, and I fully support our chief.
Thank you.
Just a quick question on that.
Yes.
Would Wayne Township have no representation on the merit board?
No, because the city is the supporting unit, then that's where you guys come in with that, and you get
Okay.
that.
And if you have other questions, Denny can answer, but Chief, do you have any comments you'd like to make about this?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good evening. I, Fire Chief Joel Schilling, am in favor of the resolution to reject the merit system for the Warsaw Wayne Fire Territory. Presently, we utilize the Board of Works, and I feel that there's been no issues and it works properly and well for the fire department and the members of the fire territory. The merit system can work for other fire departments with larger staffing numbers. However, with the 36 personnel that we have serving Warsaw Wayne Fire Territory, I believe that the implementation of the merit system is not in the best interest of our firefighters or the fire territory. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Do you have any questions for Denny about the process or about what he explained to you? Again, this is something that was established by the state, and we're heading toward the deadline at the end of the year on where we want to go as a city and, again, our responsibilities to the territory. Are there any questions, though, for him about the process or what he explained to you? Thank you.
I just want to make sure, I guess, I like to always look at things with keeping our options open. So
Absolutely.
fully support and understand what you guys are coming in with. I'm assuming this is a one and done. So in other words, Indiana, the state created the code, we reject it, out of sight, out of mind.
No.
No.
It can be revisited once every year from the date of the rejection.
It can be, but we don't
We don't
need
have
to
to.
take action unless we would want to change it.
If we do adopt the merit commission, we have to bring it back up in 5 years and reauthorize it if we want to at that time. But it's something that can and can't, you can vote either way, 1 year after the official vote to reject or establish.
Every year thereafter?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So situations change all the time.
Yes.
Just wanted to understand we
Yes.
keep our options open one way or the
Absolutely.
other.
And this applies only to firefighters?
Only to the fire territory because they serve a population over 20,000.
And if this vote happens tonight, there's a 60-day window for all full-time personnel to vote.
We have to conduct their vote within 60 days.
And majority vote will determine the position
Correct.
of full-time.
Yeah, there will be a secret ballot vote, and the majority would either reject it or want a commission, so.
Okay.
So even if the council votes in favor of that, depending upon what their vote
Correct, yes.
would be.
To follow up on that, Denny,
Yep.
if we were to vote in favor of not adopting a merit board, you said then the vote's going to go to the members of the fire department in
Yes,
the
sir.
territory. And if they vote to accept it, their vote trumps what we vote.
Yes, sir.
Okay, is just the opposite true also? If we
Yes.
vote to accept this and they vote to reject it,
If you guys tell me you want a merit commission, we don't even have a vote at the fire department. Both
So-
parties have to agree to reject it. So if you decide that you don't want to reject it and you do want a merit commission, then it's a done deal.
so they wouldn't get a say, so
Correct.
interesting.
That's the way the law is written.
You know, you're explaining all the hoops that we'd have to do to get this in place.
Yep.
Sounds like a pretty heavy lift.
It's going to take some work if we decide to have a merit commission. My biggest fear is that by the time we adopt it, we appoint the commission, they write the rule book, we're going to be in third quarter of next year before we can even start a hiring process, which is going to put us behind the eight ball. That's my biggest concern with this
By 8 or 9
immediately.
months.
The immediate concern is
Yeah.
we're not even going to be able to start a process until third quarter of 2025.
So just bottom line, this affects whether or not we can hire anybody. This affects who approves the hiring of what we have. This also affects promotions. So they would have to go through every rank as defined.
Correct. For instance, last year we had a lieutenant who was promoted to captain, or to battalion commander, a lieutenant to battalion commander. With a merit commission and the rules that are written in the law, that will not be allowed to happen. They will have to be a lieutenant for however many years that the commission says before they can become a captain. And they'll have to be a captain however many years the commission says before they can become a battalion chief. So
And if you don't have a lieutenant that's been there long enough?
and those are things I'm afraid we're going to run into because we have a very young department right now. We've had a lot of retirements over the last couple of years, so we've got a very young department.
So just to clarify, I want to make sure I heard that correctly.
Yes,
Currently, as it stands, you could, what I'll say, jump a level,
Yes.
right? You don't have to go from A to B to C, you'd go from A to C.
correct.
But with the merit board, you would have to fall, stair step.
Yes, the
Okay.
merit commission has to write rules, and that's what they will go by when it comes to promotions. So the merit commission has control over hiring, promotions, demotions, and discipline. That's the only things that the merit commission has authority over.
So by rejecting this, we maintain much more, it sounds to me like more flexibility than if we adopted it.
Yes. We still go by statutory requirements. There's still Indiana code that we have to go by, regardless. But we have much greater flexibility. The chief has much greater flexibility. It's mostly the chief has the flexibility to run the department the way that he sees fit.
And there's oversight with the safety board.
Correct.
We just had a situation came up in Board of Works where we were looking at changing level because nobody wants to apply for a certain position. So that would be the other place that you would get stuck is you could have an empty position, but nobody wanting to apply for it. And so then I don't know what you would, I suppose somehow you'd have to put that in the merit board rules of how you're going to handle those kind of situations, but we already do have that situation now. So if you've got people that would be eligible and could move and don't want it, this would be saying that nobody lower than them could then bid on it because they wouldn't be qualified. And when you get near, as you keep going up, there's fewer and fewer people in those certain positions. So somebody leaves, something happens that, you know, they choose to go, you could frequently end up with.
Well, and to that point, Diane, the merit board's not gonna know who the best person for the job is, the chief would, because he's there every day, right? I mean, to me, that's common sense, right? If I'm gonna get promoted at my job, it's probably gonna come from people I work with every day, not somebody that I've never met before, you know, or whatever. I'm making an extreme example, but to me, that's common sense, right?
Or you're promoted simply because you're next in line, and maybe not the best qualified.
Because that could happen
Yeah,
with the
sure.
merit board.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
right.
Any other questions for Denny?
Now, you said that the mayor would have two, and the firefighters would have two,
Correct.
and
Council would have
Council would
one.
have
council would have one. Mayor has to pick opposing parties.
Opposing parties, along with the department, has to have opposing parties.
Same with the firefighters?
Yes.
Sounds like you get real political real quick, too.
I think they have tried to take politics out of this by putting more politics into it.
That's usually what happens, yeah.
Crystal clear.
Any other questions? Denny wanted to make sure that you had the history and a reason for this as we get near the end of this year. Still can't believe I just said that. We're in August here. Budgets have started, right? Can we have that too?
School's starting.
Yeah, and school is starting, right? But just wanting to make sure that you're aware of the reasons for this.
Okay, so I have one further question.
Yes.
So we vote tonight, what's the educational process going to be for the firefighters so that they actually know what they're voting on?
So I went down to the fire department on July 2nd and 3rd and spoke with all the firefighters that were there and explained to them what the difference was between a merit board and a safety board. I also showed them Indiana code where they can find it and how to find it so that they could research and educate themselves on making it the best decision for them in the department. So I went through that with all of them. I have not heard from anybody since then, so it's been a month and I haven't heard from anybody. I had an open invitation to my office and nobody has come up and asked questions. So I don't know if they're getting education elsewhere, but we showed them where to find all the information and how to find it.
'Cause I guess-
There was an email that was sent to me on Friday afternoon, as well as every member of this council, from a member of the fire territory. And because of that, I hope that everybody did have an opportunity to read that, and it's connected to some of the questions that have been asked of Denny. That individual, Drew, would you like to say anything, or would you like to speak? Because again, I think it would be important that he has an opportunity to talk about that email and the reasons for it here publicly. Because the firefighters will have a vote on this, okay? If we vote tonight or in the near future a particular way. Oh, Drew, thank you.
Basically, I'm not here to sway your votes one way or the other. I'm not going to sway our guys' votes one way or the other. In an effort to get more education on it, as we were urged to, we had set up a presentation by the Professional Firefighters Union of Indiana. And because there are lots of people trying to get information, as soon as we could get it done, it was October 14th and 15th. And we did it on 2 different days so guys could attend it off duty. That'll be for union members and non-union members. We were going to extend invitations to board members, council members, so everybody can get more education. The only problem with that 14th and 15th is if you vote tonight, with the 60 days, that'll be before the 14th and 15th. My purpose of my email was to respectfully ask if we could just push it off even 2 weeks, then that would let us get our meeting in. Going through this code, if anybody's read code, it's not always easy to read. I've gone through it a bunch, I've highlighted a bunch, and I still have some questions. Talking to our guys, there's guys are in favor, there's guys that are against. There's been misconceptions, like some guys were under the thoughts that the merit board would dictate policy for how we operate, like our day-to-day operations, and that's not the case. So there's still misconceptions about it, and that's the only reason we're trying to get more information. So that was the purpose of my email to you guys.
Drew, do you remember when you scheduled that meeting and it ended up being October?
It was shortly after you had come and talked to us.
So you contacted them in July?
Yeah.
Okay. And then also related to your email to me on Friday and the council, you did state in your letter, I am writing this letter as Vice President of Warsaw Professional Firefighters Local 5461 and in representation of our members to very respectfully ask that the vote be tabled or postponed.
Yeah.
That was the second paragraph or a few sentences into your letter. At the beginning, you started out with "we." We were recently informed that the Common Council intends to vote on the resolution for the acceptance or rejection of the establishment of a merit system for the fire department. The "we," I'm assuming because you signed down at the bottom, Drew, Vice President Winona or Warsaw Professional Firefighters Local 5461. Are you speaking to us tonight as a firefighter, or are you speaking to us connected to this letter as the Vice President of the Firefighters Local 5461? And I ask that because I don't see any other members here, and I also do not see the President here, and his name was not on this letter either. And so I was just wondering, are you speaking for yourself? Are you speaking for the members of Local 5461?
I've sent that to before I sent it to you, Max did see it. He had kid stuff tonight, so he approved the letter. So,
Okay, so Max did approve, the President
Yes.
did approve on Friday before you sent it, and he
Yeah.
still approves
yes.
tonight?
Yep.
Okay.
And then speaking with our members, I think everybody has expressed an interest in getting some more information.
Okay, so your members did speak to him, and they wanted more information?
And me talking to them and Max, yep.
Okay. Okay. I just asked because of the way the letter was
Sure.
sent, just asking for clarification.
I ride in big red trucks, I'm not always right.
Thank you, Drew. Anything else you'd like to share?
No, that's all I had to say. If you have any other questions, I'll try my best to answer anything.
Drew, do you know, the person that's going to come to speak to you, are they a member of a large city or a city similar in size to ours?
Max is the one that has set it up. I believe they were coming from, if I'm not it was a department up north, Elkhart, Mishawaka area. I don't
So
remember the
it's
exact department.
a little bit larger than ours,
Huh?
a larger fire department than ours.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, just so if I understand it correctly, if we were to delay by 2 weeks, then that would give you
Correct, yep.
the time.
And obviously, leading up to this point, you still feel like new information, more clarification would be offered by this individual if they came.
Sure.
And we
Yeah.
waited. You've been unable to get that for over the past year, as well as since Denny spoke to you and the chief in July. You still have questions.
I do. Myself, I do. Having discussions with the other firefighters, everybody has questions. Yeah.
Okay.
I've told all those guys, me personally, I know how I'm gonna vote. I'm willing to discuss. I don't know exactly how I'll vote. I know how I'm leaning. It can
Right.
always change. I'm willing to discuss that with them. I don't want to try to sway them one way or other. I just want to make an informed vote, just like I think everybody should when they're voting in that's it.
Yeah, I appreciated that. At the end of the email on Friday, you had mentioned that. I do appreciate that. It's very good. I agree.
Would that give you enough time? You mentioned misconceptions, and so you're going to hear maybe different information from this individual. Would that give you enough time to come back and check that with our Department of Human Resources and really clarify those areas where you feel like you got a different answer perhaps, or understood in a different way? 4 days isn't very long, and you guys work odd shifts. So I'm just wondering how you're going to really inform everybody and also then fact check what you hear coming up. And I'm not saying they're going to give you wrong information. I have no idea. But, you know, it would just be possible that perhaps some of the examples they used or something wouldn't be as applicable in our situation. So I was just wondering.
Yeah, I mean, if you table till next month, that would give us even more time to do that fact checking and cross checking, as opposed to 2 weeks. So, I mean, that information leaning one way or the other can go both ways. So it would be good to cross check everything, I think. This can affect the future of the department, so I want everybody to have as much information as possible.
Because if I'm thinking through this correctly, the latest that we could vote on this would be in October in order for them to still have
Our vote
60
would
days
have
to give their
within
vote.
60 days, no more than 3 weeks, less than 60 days. Am I correct about that?
Yeah.
I want to say this correctly because since this was enacted on May the 4th of 2023, it's been a fairly large discussion on the municipal attorneys and clerks and everybody's web serve, right? So some of the, I don't know if it's exclusively, but many of the large departments already have a merit board. And as was spoken earlier, this kind of is a change in that come January the 1st of 2025, unless you choose to reject it and the firefighters also choose to reject it, we are going to have a merit board. If you choose to not reject it, they're not going to get a vote and we're going to have a merit board. So I don't know if panic's the correct word, but the listservs have been fired up for the last probably 3 months of very similar situations, I think, as what we're facing right here, because the prospect of having a merit board would be new for so many of the medium-sized communities, I'd say, similar to Warsaw. And I'm not a fireman, so I don't know. I've seen on the listserv that the fire union has presented videos. Have you guys had access to any of the video information? I understand there's a pretty good, I've been told on the listserv that many of the other communities are, rather than having meetings, they're allowing access to this video that's been put out by the union that is apparently fairly detailed about what the union thinks is important information for people to consider.
You have access to those. I've watched them. The issue with the videos, you can't raise your hand and ask them a question. Yeah, and I've read articles. I just read an article today, and it had, I believe his name was Steve Arusa. He was a former chief for Fishers. He's now with the Indiana Fire Chiefs Association. One of the things and the Indiana Fire Chiefs Association was in favor of it when it was going through legislation. One of the things he said was the merit board didn't tie your hands. That's how you get it set up. They don't conduct all of the hiring and promotions. They go based off the recommendations of the department, and then they verify the qualifications of the individual. So it's a little bit different depending on.
Well, I suppose my question would be more along the lines of this, though. Would there be someone available, since the rule requires there's at least 3 weeks that you have to delay the vote after this board would take action to reject it? would there not be someone who could clarify answers? You said you couldn't raise your hand. Could you send an email or make a phone call? Would there, I don't know. I can say from the legal aspect of this, again, I don't want to say panic is the correct word, but many of the communities are moving forward because there's a fair amount of work to do, particularly a lot of work to do if we do have a merit board. That's my only concern sitting here is I want the fire department to have all information. I think that benefits everybody. I want anybody who wants information to have that. I just have a bit of concern. I don't want us to be squeezed for time. If we create a merit board, that's when the heavy lifting is going to start moving forward. There's a lot of new stuff to be done, and so I have no idea because I've not been in contact with who it is that might be able to better answer questions of firefighters about union stuff. If it's not Benny, if there's someone, and it's not the videos, if they could be maybe more responsive if they were given 3 weeks to answer any questions that anybody has. That's my only concern, but I didn't know if you had an experience with their responsiveness.
Any other questions?
So if we accept this resolution going forward, then the firefighters would or would not have a vote.
They
They
would.
would have a vote.
They would have a vote.
And their vote would state that we would have they would have a vote. If they voted the same way we do, then there would not be a merit board. If they voted,
We'll stay with safety.
and if they voted the other way, then what happens?
We have a merit board.
There would be a merit board.
Yeah.
So no matter what we do, whichever way they go, okay.
And
But-
what-
It's your vote, right?
Right.
So if you decide that you want to accept this resolution, right?
Yeah.
It's letting the fire department know that, the chief has told us he doesn't want a
Okay.
board. So we're gonna support the chief. That's what I'm doing. I'm gonna support the chief in his decision making.
Okay.
And clearing that position can be trusted. So
Now,
that's my stance on it.
yeah,
But it's completely up to you all on which way we want to go with it. But even if you do approve this resolution to reject the merit system, the firefighters will all have a vote.
right.
Each one of
Okay,
them will have a vote on what they
Okay,
want to
just
do.
so I understand that.
Hold on.
Now,
Hold on. Just so this works a little bit better for our broadcasting and our recording and everything, do we have any additional questions for Drew while he's standing there? Because I think it might work
Okay.
better if Denny stands up here and we're able to see him on the camera and hear him, because this may be viewed again by firefighters or people in the
Right.
community. And
Okay,
so-
Drew, so I just want to clarify. So today is August 5th. And if we vote on this today, you would have to vote on it by October 5th. And you're asking us to wait and not vote on it until August 19th, so that you don't have to vote until August 19th, so that you can hear your representative on October 13th,
14th and 15th.
or 14th or 15th.
14th and 15th. We're doing it 2 days.
Okay, so then your people would have 4 to 5 days to figure out how they wanted to vote then, if we went to the very last minute for the vote.
Or we could push it back until September 3rd and give everybody a little bit more time and probably not handcuff ourselves to get all the merit board stuff done if that's the way that it goes.
Yeah, and I'm kind of leaning that way, so that if there is any information, that then you have further questions for HR or someone,
Sure.
that you hear that it all gets clarified, so people know exactly what they're voting on.
Yes.
And they don't panic vote,
That's all I'm.
because they're ignorant about it either way. I can understand that, because here we are, right?
oh, yeah.
Drew, you mentioned raising your hand and asking questions. I'm sure other members, not just firefighters, but we could even argue you're the vice president of the association. Have you asked HR any questions? Have you been seeking out? I mean, did any of you had no questions? Okay. Have you compiled a list with the president of questions that you do have, either from the July meetings they've had?
I have some of my personal questions. I've heard some of the questions from other people, so.
You're aware that Denny would answer those questions if you wanted to go to him. Are you aware of that? Okay. And Denny, you're willing to answer any questions? Anybody in the, okay. Thank
And you said you would be inviting us to come and
Yeah,
listen
I
too, so
mean-
we could hear what you heard, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, there's no
I
secrets,
appreciate that.
so.
That's nice.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to share?
No,
Thank you
just
for-
thanks for your time.
Thanks for sharing, yeah, thank you. Denny, any final comments here?
I want to continue to go down this track that I started.
Okay.
And, okay, so now let's say we vote for this resolution.
Yes, sir.
Let's say, these are all, let's say the firefighters vote for this resolution.
Yes.
In the meantime, we could next year revisit it.
Yes.
And between now and then, we could all look at more of how this is going to work and all be better informed
Correct. Yes.
and see. I'm afraid if we push it off just long enough to get it, squeak it in this year, that heavy lifting's going to get heavier. And we may put together something that's none of us want. I guess that's what I'm concerned about.
I guess my feeling.
I want to give them the opportunity to look at things.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I
Okay,
didn't mean
no, that's
to
okay.
interrupt you,
No.
but
I guess from my standpoint, I would be willing to wait just to give them the opportunity to get the information, and also myself to maybe go in here.
and I want to give them that opportunity as well. What I'm saying is by doing it the way I just proposed, we give everybody more than adequate amount of time to really research it and really get into it, because I don't know about the rest of you, but it's kind of new to me.
But if I were a firefighter, I wouldn't know how to vote.
Not right now, yeah.
Yeah, and so I think if they think they need information, then they need information. I kind of like your idea, Josh.
That's where you were going with it anyway. I just jumped in, so.
No. Can you restate that? Because I think I kind of like what you're thinking.
Yeah, based on what you were saying, my thought, because I was thinking the dates through in my mind also as everyone was talking, is if we push the vote, and I believe September 2nd is Labor Day, so our meeting would probably be Tuesday the 3rd, or maybe the 4th, whatever. I think it's either going to be the 3rd or the 4th.
Tuesday the 3rd.
There we go. If we tabled our vote to that time, one, we can all do a little bit of our own independent research as well, I think, more than what we've done. Secondly, then we could take a vote based on the research that we've done, and that would still give the firefighters ample time to hear their presentation, better understand what they heard. Then if they do need to come to Denny or anybody else, they've got enough time before they take an official vote within that 60-day window. And then if it does go to a merit board, I think that would leave, if Denny said it correctly, we would have until March to kind of get everything finalized. That would more or less leave us 6 months to be able to get our ducks in a row and do, as Jack was saying, the heavy lifting. It may not be ideal, but it's probably better than any other of the proposed methods. Kind of a win-win, I guess, as much as we can create in this circumstance. That's my opinion.
Related to what Denny has shared, and then also what Scott has shared, this again was passed a year ago. And Denny, you did say that you did speak to all the members of our fire territory in early July.
Correct.
That's correct. So I just want to make sure that everybody knows that Denny has done a great job of trying to explain this. You've been open to questions?
Absolutely.
Or answer, and no, has anybody come to you and asked you anything from the fire?
Nobody. I haven't heard from any firefighter whatsoever since the meetings. And again, the chief and I have discussed this at nauseum, and he's not going to change his mind. He will not want this merit commission, and I support him with his decision. He's been doing a great job since he's taken over, and I support him in what he decides, so.
Well, and I think it goes without saying, but maybe we need to say it, that if we vote to delay this, this is in no way a reflection that we're not supporting you. It's hoping that we can get a good resolution for everybody. That's all.
Agree. Again, I'll just publicly state, when the chief did come to me and shared this with me, it was, I looked at him directly in the face and I said, what you believe is best for the department, that's why I appointed you. And he firmly, and again, I want to speak for you, but it believes that this resolution should be passed, which would decline having a merit board. I think that's in the best interest for him and the entire department, and because of that, I do too. So, and again, anybody that has come to you with questions, have you directed them to Denny, or you've attempted to answer their questions, Chief? I don't want to. To Denny, okay. I'll just say again, I think, Drew, I appreciate your email and your comments, that strongly encourage you, if you have any questions as a firefighter or serving as the vice president, even the president has questions, that feel free to communicate with our HR department as well. Just open invite for you. Don't be afraid to do that. And if you do have concerns, please come to my office, all right? And I'll do everything I can to make sure that you are feeling better about getting these questions answered. And I'm sure the chief will help you as well. Thank you. Denny, any other comments?
No, sir. Good. Unless you guys have any other questions.
Well, based on what Diane has said and maybe what Josh is thinking, you can do, I think, one of two things. You can take action on this resolution, voting for or against. You can also take action by tabling and asking that it be moved to, I do believe, Josh, again, help me out, Josh, you're on to something, if that's the pleasure of the council, that pushing it back into September would give that window of opportunity after this guest comes and speaks in person. It would give time for reflection, more questions, before the territory members would have to vote. I think I did hear it would be September 3rd. And does anybody want to?
So I just
Okay,
want to make
thanks.
sure we're all on the same page with the timeline. So if you want to consider this on September 3rd, then they have to vote by,
November 3rd.
November, early November.
Well,
November 2nd, right? 30 days in September, 31 days in October. So it's been 60 days.
I assume they're calendar days, not business days?
They're
It probably
days.
doesn't say.
It just
Right,
says
it's
days.
Okay.
So it would be days.
Then March the 1st is the deadline for appointments. We have to appoint someone by March the 1st, if there's a commission, if there's a merit. So that would give us 4 months from that November, December, January, February. And then the rules have to be implemented by March the 31st. So the commission appointments, they have a month then. If we, I mean, we can appoint them sooner then, but they just have to be done by March the 1st. So I think Josh had said 6 months, it's more like 4 months. But, but that's why I think there's a tiny bit of flurry currently on the listservs.
Me personally would like to get it done sooner rather than later, because that heavy lifting is gonna fall in my office. So if we do go with the merit commission and writing all the rules and things like that, I'll be the one that's gonna be giving the merit commission advice and things of that nature, so.
Well, that heavy lifting's gonna come during this time of year when everything's get a lot harder anyhow. I mean, we typically have a lot of business at the last part of the year.
You guys are gonna see my smiling face a lot here in the next couple of months.
What would you like to do? And we could put a motion together and see what the reaction is. Maybe some of the other council members, if you want to speak and just sort of share what you're thinking, it might help guide us to get to a motion. And again, I think the motion is take action for or against this resolution, or a motion to table. I think the date I'm hearing is September 3rd to revisit this.
I'll speak up.
Thanks, Mike.
In my business career and in my career on this council, I've always cherished options. I like to have the options. I can make a decision, but I want to know what the options are, what the fallout and the ramifications of that choice is going to be. I want to support the chief. I would like to have the boys in the fire department have options. If we vote this down and decide to establish a merit board, we take away their option.
Correct.
We also run the risk of ramming something down their throat that they don't want. And when things go south or bad, who's going to get the blame? We are.
The chief.
Well, but he doesn't want it. He doesn't want the merit board. So I'm inclined to just say, I could support this and throw it right to the firemen and let them determine their own destiny. And if it goes south, it's on them. And if it goes well, they can take the credit. I would caution them, be careful what you wish for. So personally, I don't see why we need to wait. I would just say, you guys choose your destiny. That's my thought.
Thanks, Mike.
I guess-
feel like Mike does. I think we ought to go ahead and pass it as is.
Thanks, Jerry. Cindy? were you
Yeah,
gonna say something?
I guess I would be more inclined to wait until the September 3rd meeting, just to give them time to get the information they want.
Yeah, I think based on what I've heard tonight, right, I've expressed favor of supporting the resolution which rejects the merit board, so I don't think my mind would probably change between now and September 3rd. I was just simply stating that would be you wanted to give the firemen options. This, by waiting, technically, that would give them all their options, because they would have opportunity to hear this other presentation. It is a little concerning, I will say, that nobody has reached out to Denny at this point.
I find that
So
disappointing.
I agree with that.
So what did you say? You could support this tonight?
Yeah, I mean,
Or go either way.
To me,
Because
I'm
I
gonna
feel
sup-
sorry for Denny too, because
Yeah.
a ton of bricks gonna come down on him.
All I'm saying is to give favor to the firemen and give them options, like you were speaking about earlier. Technically, we should wait. But my opinion is that we approve this. I mean, of course. It's just, do we do it now or do we do it in a month?
Again, I'd love every one of our firefighters. I want them to have all the options as well. That's why I went down there and personally sat with them and showed them how to look up the law, how to look up Indiana code and research for themselves. So again, I love them. We've tried to make sure that they were educated and know how to educate themselves, for what it's worth.
I'd be able to move it.
I think we should give them more options. I think they need to hear too.
Well, they will either way.
No, they won't, because they have to vote before they can hear the other guy.
They have to vote. They would have to vote before the presentation from the,
Yeah.
whatever the
But they
association
could
is.
do
If you
sooner.
pass it tonight, then they don't
No.
get the information they're
They
asking
can't,
for
that's
before
the
they
only
have to
time the
vote.
presentation
Okay.
could be given is that date. That was the whole point of this.
That's why he
dialogue,
wrote us the
back and
letter.
forth.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Thanks for the clarification.
I'm at the same place you guys are. I'm obviously going to vote for this, but
Okay.
I want them to know what they're voting for.
Yeah.
I feel like I know what I'm voting for. I want them to know.
Okay.
I want them to have that same confidence that I have sitting here right now.
Okay.
And you don't think they have?
No, absolutely not.
September 3rd is, we're talking a month from now. The timing would be good too, that date, because of the 60 days, you said November 2nd. It's before Thanksgiving, it's before we start to finalize the budget for 2025.
The budget will amount to,
Already, okay.
it's still November 1st is when
Okay,
well,
so
Yeah, we'll be done with that.
We'll be done with
Be
that.
done
we'll
with
be
the
done,
budget.
and then
Feel better.
And then we're avoiding also
See, I thought they could
Thanksgiving,
do that.
and we're also avoiding potential end of the year holidays, and something goofy could happen.
Because they reached out to.
And then if they choose to have a merit board, we're right when we're making appointments and you're making appointments. So
They would have to do it within
You're
60
making those
days of
appointments
today,
in
which would
December,
not
so.
be October
Right.
13th or 14th.
Denny, do you feel like the rank and file has been properly informed about Chief's view? And
I will say, kind of like Attorney Royce said, this has been a topic of conversation going on for months now. So it's not like this just popped up this week. I'm not sure how much more information there is to get. I didn't go down to sway them anyway. I gave them the differences between the boards and showed them how to research themselves. Other than that, I'm not sure what questions there are because I haven't heard any, and I'm not sure how much more information there is to get. That's just my opinion. Again, I would like to get this over with. If we wait, we got holidays, that's even less days for me to be able to get on top of this. Again, I'm good either way. I want to support the chief. The chief doesn't want it, I don't want it. And he changed my mind because I was for it at the beginning when we first started talking about it. Because honestly, if we have a merit board, it's less on me. The merit board takes control of everything.
I do feel better. When I received the email from Drew, the first reaction was why did I not get it from the president of the local association? But him coming in tonight and sharing with us that the president is in favor of this, he is in favor of it, and he's talked to members. It was sort of the questions, I don't know why they haven't asked HR or our chief, and I haven't received anything, but I do feel better that he has stated here that he has talked to the members, and they do have questions, and they have told him and the president that they desire to have this in October. this speaker come in and talk to them and maybe answer any questions that they have at that time. So that does make me feel better. My initial reaction was, is this coming from a firefighter? Is this coming from a leader of the association with support from his president? And the members are also desiring this. Now, I don't see him tonight, but again, he's assured us that that's the case. And so I feel better about it.
So in order to give them the time they need to hear this presentation, we need a motion to table this until September the 3rd, correct?
Yes, I think that is potentially a very good date for those of you that want to table it. I would just ask that we hold to that date and we don't table it any further, because if we do, we are getting into Thanksgiving and end of the year and back to trying to form this board and getting the rules established. It could be, I think, not only hardship for Denny, the chief, and maybe my office, but it could be hardship for the firefighters, that we're not up and running with it until March, April, May, whatever it is that they would want to do as a merit board.
Yeah, and like Denny stated, they won't be able to hire anybody. So they're gonna run without
The merit
a full
board.
staff if anybody leaves, so they're gonna be stuck. They
And
need to-
promotions, right, would be, you couldn't have
Yeah,
any promotions
can't have any
either.
promotions, so they need to really understand all that too.
Right.
That they're gonna be stuck for a while.
I'd like to make one last comment. I would really appreciate it if there are still questions out there from the firefighters. I would really appreciate it if you have a question, to make sure and try to get an answer for that question from both sides of the argument.
Absolutely.
So if you ask questions of Denny, ask it of this speaker. If you ask him of the speaker, ask it of Denny. And do all of that before you take a vote.
That's a good point.
I'd hate to see Denny's presentation in July be forgotten in October.
Would somebody like, I think the board, I don't want to speak for you, you're leaning toward tabling to September 3rd. But again, I don't want to, I think based on what I'm hearing, we might be at least looking in that direction, but I don't want to speak for you. Is there any other comments or questions?
I'll make a motion that we table the discussion and for a final vote on September 3rd.
I'll second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to table this particular resolution until September 3rd. I got the date right? Any further discussion?
Who made the second on that?
There was a motion by Josh, second by Mike. Any further discussion? Denny?
Yes, sir. Good.
Drew? Any further questions or comments? No? Chief? Good? All right. I'll call the question. All those in favor of tabling this resolution until September 3rd, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Nay. The ayes have it. Thank you very much for this very good discussion. Thank you, Denny. Thank you, Drew. Thank you, Chief. Thank you.
So just one more thing I would add, because if you all have questions, there can be answers for those prior to October 14th and 15th. And so it might be a good idea if you have questions. I'm a bit surprised that we can't get any answers to these questions until October the 14th or the 15th. I'm disappointed by that, quite frankly, from the fire presenter from Mishawaka or Elkhart. But that's what we have now.
Yeah.
But I was hoping that person would be more flexible and be able to move up there sometime within the 60 days. Apparently that can't happen. But if you all have questions, I think it'd be good if you could present them to the chief or to Denny Because I think there are avenues to get answers to these questions prior to us coming and voting on September 3rd. For your knowledge, you guys don't have to. I think there's a lot of knowledge out there that will be available to you all if you ask. I don't think October 14th and 15th is this magical hour where that's the only time that there's going to be answers to these questions. So.
That's what we were told tonight.
Well, that their presenter apparently can't be available between October 14th or 15th, but he exists today. Danny exists today. The statutes exist today. The videos that are already out there exist today. So it's, I guess, just the raise your hand and ask questions is reserved for the firefighters to be able to do that on October the 14th and 15th. But you all can get these answers sooner than them. My guess is an email could get that answer to you pretty quickly if you ask. I would rather you all not come on September the 3rd and not know what they're all going to find out apparently and wait till October 14th and 15th to find out, because there's a lot of information right now.
I agree with that, and I did try to reach out to someone today. Unfortunately, the timing was just too short, and I couldn't get any answers.
Okay, good. Thank you. For everybody, yes, we'll move on to the next item. Larry, Resolution 2024-0801.
Yes, I'm requesting transfer of funds from the KCC RVC Commission grant to the Park Operating Fund. These funds were to reimbursement for the Kayak Key Asset Center in Pike Lake. That's been a couple of years ago. It was just brought to my attention that those funds are still sitting there, and we need to get them moved back into the Park Operating Fund.
Totals $29,660.
Correct.
Thanks, Larry. Any questions for Larry?
So we're basically going from a grant fund to an operating fund, Lynn?
It's already been paid for out of our budget in '21, so it's just going back in to reimburse our payment.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just going into a revenue
Yeah.
fund.
Yep.
It's all just go into the fund, not
Okay.
into an appropriation.
Okay. I would move to approve Resolution 2024-08-01.
Is there a second?
I second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you, Larry.
Thank you.
Item number 6, Resolution 2024-0803. Jeremy?
Yeah, we're expanding the Riverfront District again as part of the recent expansion and combination of the two TIF districts, the central and the northern TIF. Part of the reason for doing that was to encompass an area of the city that was not in an economic development area, which then allows it to be opened up for a Riverfront District. So you see the new TIF district, and as well as the existing Riverfront District and then the amended Riverfront District to include that property into the Riverfront District, which will allow it to apply for a Riverfront liquor license.
Any questions for Jeremy?
I'll make a motion that we pass Resolution 2024-0803.
I'll second that.
There's a motion to approve and a second. Thanks, Diane. Thanks, Cindy. Any further discussion? Jeremy, anything? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you. Thanks, Jeremy. Al, Resolution 2024-0804, another transfer resolution. Al?
Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't grab my letter for this one. I grabbed this 2025 budget. Basically, this is out of my PER money to do beautification in the cemetery. It comes in twofold. One, Mike Bradford is the one that's doing this for me.
We did a lake project last year, November into 1st of December. I didn't budget the money over because I thought I was going to make the deadline for the cutoff. Didn't know until we started paying the second thing that we missed it by a day. So they had to take out that money this year instead of my perm money. So some of this transfer is to pay him off for the last project we just finished, and then I do have another paver project that he's going to do here in the fall. So that's why I'm transferring money to take care of that.
You mentioned project, how was that, this the one out front again? Did you
Yeah,
say?
yeah, this
You
was
said that.
making, well, I was aware of the second payment I was short, and I didn't know why. I came in to talk to Kelly and didn't realize we missed a day on the cutoff, so they had to take the money out of this year's instead of last year's. So I thought I was okay, and I wasn't, so I went ahead, did that, and moved some money for this last project that's gonna go into the baby land, into the pavers.
I've been over there a couple times, that entrance, it is really
Mm-hmm.
nice, what he's been able to do. And the sidewalk project on that street that street is almost done, if not done, so it looks really nice.
Yeah, it is, we got a little cleaning to do, but it just cleaned it up. It made it look a lot
Cleaned it up.
nicer than what
It'll
it
be a
was.
lot easier to take care of, too.
Yes, yes, you're totally right. We may put some flowering plants out there, we haven't decided yet, because we kind of like the look, so I don't know for sure all what we're gonna do yet.
Well, you'll have
next
a new watering thing.
Huh?
You'll have a watering thing.
Yeah, we eliminated a lot of
There you go.
big watering though, but it's
Yeah.
okay, we're trimming bushes, so we eliminate some work, so.
You need to haul all the plants from my pool and see what it looks like, all
See,
those
there you go,
flowers,
there you go.
and see if you like it or not, and then if not, okay.
You way too much overtime.
Mhm. Thanks for that, Al. Any other questions for Al? I'll entertain a motion.
I move we accept resolution 2024-0804.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Thank Jack and Josh. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Al. Good. Good?
Yeah, well, I'm up next, I guess.
I think
That's why I haven't moved
what
yet.
we'll do for the old timer here, we'll take a
Take a break?
2-3 minute break.
Perfect.
And then we'll get started. You have your budget books. We'll start with Al Hagee. Thank you.
That's yours. I think I forgot to put mine down here so I can operate a little bit. So, find this big sheet in here.
Old bones.
So this is gonna tell you every, budget line item.
Okay, budget.
And then, thank you. And then over here, there's a tab, see?
Tells you.
Right, so like, for instance, we're gonna be doing, Hal, which is the cemetery, Oakwood, right, there you go. He's got 2205, and then he's got 6605 as well. So a lot of the people that present are gonna have multiple fund reports, right? So, but that, anyway, this is your general index here.
And this here is just.
This is like general information, so, there's timelines in here, there's obviously like department head email addresses, phone numbers, things like that.
So, did I miss anything exciting before I got to write?
Yeah, absolutely, thank you. Yeah.
And I need to come down and visit with you sometime, but my schedule's just been crazy, but I will make sure. Appreciate
You'll have more
that.
time in the winter.
Oh, yeah.
No, nothing that was, I mean, we had our big discussion, but.
Yeah, I kind of caught that, so I noticed it was parking and all that. Yeah, in my notes, I had 6, I was at home at 6 watching the Olympics, I could have been here.
You are, maybe we're slacking this year. Last year, or about 3 years ago when I was first starting out, I would have forgotten all about it. Somebody sent a text out at about 4 PM and said, remember it's at 6, and I went,
Someone could have sent a text, but I had so
I
many
apologize.
stuff going on.
yeah, I should have been able to do something like that.
They talked about it at the last meeting. I wrote it on my calendar, but I'm like, okay, whatever. So how you been?
Hanging in there.
Busy?
Oh,
I
I'd say that's a fair way of putting it.
I was hoping to have an easy summer, but I think it was in the Lex Luthor rebuild the shed, rebuild the garage, trying to get a boat, and it's just like, and then besides everything else, now we have a national tournament this week.
Yeah, right. They got
dozens of hours.
Dumped back home, which is a good thing.
Crazy, crazy stuff.
Jerry?
Good to see you.
Yeah, good to be seen.
I gotta talk to Plummer real quick.
Jerry, I missed you today. Dang it. I don't know where I was. Did you come up today?
No.
Somebody said they saw you today.
Well, no, wait.
Where were you?
Was it this morning
I don't
or
know.
yesterday?
I thought it was. Somebody said they saw you today.
Might have. I went in and saw
Danny?
Denny. Let's see, today's Monday, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah,
so
it
it had to
is.
be today. I didn't stay very long. Popped in, popped right back
I
out.
like talking to you though. Yeah, I enjoy the company and it gives me a good break and usually we get a good laugh and, yeah.
Jeff, you want to sign these real fast while you're waiting? Thank you.
Yeah, I really am cold, I got wet.
Oh,
I think
Is
it's,
it raining out there?
Yeah, it's raining.
Diane went to take Cooper out.
Okay, that's
Or Oakley. Cooper's already out. Thanks, Jeff.
Is it? I didn't look. I know, well, I was watching this morning because we were supposed to go out on the lake at 10. And so I called Grace College and I said, looking at that thunderstorm, there's lightning in it, I'm not willing to take the kids out. And I made the right call because that was some lightning.
Yeah, I didn't do it first.
Yeah.
The weather up there is a little bit freaking worse. Yeah, 10 o'clock it was raining.
It just started like sprinkling then, but by, it takes us almost an hour by 11 it was lightning. It didn't ever come down, but it was beautiful.
I didn't see any lightning, but, I did
Okay, let's get
check my
started.
rain gauge and we had actually.
It says rain may form on mine, and it's pouring.
Because I thought it was getting chilly up there.
Yeah, I was getting.
Check this thing.
Well, I have 3 different weather maps.
Yeah, me
Sometimes
too.
say 3 different things.
So when we went up to the National Weather Service, to the North Webster with the Master Naturalist, they showed us all the different models that they look at and how they try to decide whether it's going to be raining or not, so.
Yeah, I keep meaning to do a story about that place.
Oh, it's fascinating. Oh, wait, how am I in Denver?
The one guy I sing with, Mark Cortez, worked for the weather station up there for 12 years.
I think I've been to once or twice.
Yeah, he's
See,
retired.
look at the lightning in this storm.
So when do you
Just
drop?
Okay, we'll get started here with the budgets. Al's gonna be first one up.
Round 2.
Lynn's favorite.
Oh, I'm ready to go to sleep.
Talk about putting a lot of work in this one.
Oh, boy, you have been working on these yet.
Okay, 2205.
Yep.
Can I go
Right.
over a few things on the budget?
Yeah, I would really appreciate that. So, yeah. All right, before Hal begins,
No, but I could.
Lynn has a few things she'd like to share with not only the council, but also the public. Thanks, Lynn.
So, just go over the tabs in the budget book so you'll know. As always, I have everybody's contact number on the front page in case you want to talk to anybody about what they have proposed or whatever. The second page, the definitions of budget classifications, just shows you what can be budgeted, what classification. Then we have the timeline, which is really important that we follow that and take notice. And then there's the IACT, I have, well, under miscellaneous and 1782 notice, I have the history of our assessed valuation levy and rates. And then on the page after that, I have what so far is proposed in the general fund for this year, for next year. And then the IACT bulletin, which I'm sure you've all read by now and have it all memorized. I don't have the fund balances. You should have had that in the June fund balance. You can use that if you want to for your fund balance, because that's our latest one. And then the next tab that is laminated is what the budget numbers are, and that's, I'll sort of call them out when people come up so you'll know which budget tab to look at, okay?
To the front.
Did you get that?
I just said I moved that one to the front of mine, so
Oh,
I
you
could
did?
always find it, yeah.
Do
That's a
not
good
move
idea.
the pages.
Good idea. That was-
And we copied everything double-sided this year just to save paper, and let me know how you like it.
I like
You
it.
don't like it.
And the mayor has a greater appreciation of how all this is put together. I had no idea for 24 years all of the work that Lynn, my staff, and so many others do to get this to this point. So Lynn, you and the others that I won't mention, thank you very much.
The others? That
To
sounds
a
like a
lot of
movie.
other people, yeah. Thank you.
I took mine out and put it off the side.
All right, Hal. Thank you,
House
sir.
tab is 2205.
Okay, let the fun begin.
Go, Hal.
Go Hal. Okay, well, usually I'm not the first. We'll get started. What you're going to hear probably 150 times, or at least all the department heads, is we are going 2.5% raise, and there is a longevity raise in there also. I assume you're aware of that. If not, you can ask me. No, I can tell you if you want. So basically, I'll just go down through. If you have questions, please ask. You see salary and wages went up 4.6. That's due with the longevity raise. I do have 3 that's over 15 years. So that'll pay out in there. Benefits and then all the insurance and stuff went up 4%. So then you're going down. The 2 big accounts I have is 22 and 23. 22 is my fuel, 23 is just my maintenance on machinery and stuff for parts. So I went up 1,000 on each one of those. Professional services went down. Took care of some stuff I didn't have to do in the fall help and everything, so it went down 1,000, which comes out to about 20%. If you go on down, then if you keep down, everything stayed the same as you see until you get down to machinery equipment. Went up 18%. I put in there for a truck. We're currently got 2 that are getting of age. Once Damien goes through them, he'll give me the yay or nay if we need to change those out, or if I can repair them for lower money and not go into new ones. So basically on that budget, so my whole budget went up 4%, which is 889,530. Sorry, kind of quick, but if you have any questions, let me know.
Just a note, I had asked the department heads when I sent out the memo to sort of separate their longevity. It's still going under salaries and wages, just so you could get an idea of what that has as an impact, since it's new for next year. And it's based off $120 per year of working for the city.
Year of service for up to 20 years.
So your longevity is just kind of added in with the.
Yeah, mine did, I'm sorry.
All right.
Basically, I have 1 employee with 1. I have 1 at 5, 2 at 6, then 1 at 15, 1 at 16, and then I'll be currently at 18 years.
So Mayor, how did you decide to do the budget this year? Are you trying to make it pretty much true to what you think is going to come out rather than adding a lot of extra? Like I'm noticing there's not a lot of extra added in the insurance area like before, so are you going with a more true budget?
Well, there are some of the, where you gotta be really careful. And it's better to budget at a mark that may be a little higher than what you expect, but when you
Right.
do it because of all the variables.
Yes.
But I will tell you that the department heads have, like they always do, they've continued to do a good job of trying to make it a true number. And,
Because that's what I thought I noticed as I was going through this year.
If I may add, on mine, previous dental and life I was asked to put in more money. This year, they kind of relooked at it and it went down about $8,000 in
Yeah,
my
so it's
department.
kind
So I
of
think that's, you're
noticing.
going to see a lot of adjustment there,
Yeah.
because I called a couple times, I was kind of shocked on it, but they went back to more true numbers. I think they did some work and got that shaved down for you guys. So you may see that with all departments also, in the dental and life.
I personally like it. I know there's two philosophies of budgeting and.
And I did miss one, I apologize, in line 39, which Denny's putting in, we put money in for a Wardco that he is starting, some money to recognize our employees for outstanding service. So you'll see $1,000 more in there for that, for me.
Any other questions for Hal? Okay.
My second budget is 6605, it's my perm budget.
6605.
Yes.
6605, thanks, Hal.
Mhm.
What are we looking at here?
It's on the back page.
I was saying, and FYI, when they double copied, then it ends up that his explanation for 6605 is back on 2205
Is
on
it?
the back of that page.
Okay.
So
Sorry.
just, no, that's okay, but just, because I had to look for it earlier today.
I was stuck with his operating budget, not his perm budget.
Yeah,
Okay. I wondered, I thought that looked strange.
yeah.
There? We good? Okay. Basically, just a couple things changed. I had a 6605-00310. I had a professional service that we don't use anymore, so I took out the 1,500. And 444, I went down 5,000 in my asphalting and roads. The big one is 360. Basically, that's where it went up. I have a stone wall, a lean-to shed, and I want to get some electrical out to Legion 3. Two reasons. One, we want to light up the flags. That's something we should have been doing. I don't have electricity out in the cemetery. We wanted to get it to 3 to honor the military. And also, we're looking at maybe some work as a pond or something out there, and I'll need electric for that too. So Denny actually is coming to give me a quote to see what the bore under my main road for that is this year. I don't know if I'll be able to do it this year or next year. The lean-to shed, you see it, 50,000. We may have to forego that, which I'll come back and ask. We're running out of niches in the cremation garden. So I'm going to meet with Pat Monument to kind of get a quote to see about niches. This is where you put above ground ashes in. We put some in 3 years ago, and I think it was 80 some. I'm down to 24. With the rate of cremations going up, we're starting to find that, and I'm going to have to expand some more in cremation garden. They seem to be selling more, or doing more. We're currently at like 45% of our burials into ashes. When I started, that was like 10, 5 to 10. So you're seeing more and more of that going on. So it was brought to my attention the niches are down, so I may have to change that into buying niches instead of doing the lean shed.
So this is a revenue fund, basically, and what your June report, it doesn't have the investment in it, but Hal's got almost $1 million in cemetery perm investment, so this budget's covered well.
If you understand, this perm account comes from half the lot sales of the cemetery. Some people didn't know that, but this is non-tax money. We invest half of the sales of every lot into this perm account. and it's for permanent structure and for, if we ever get landlocked, to take care of the facility. Any questions for me?
Thank you, Hal.
You bet. Thank you, guys.
Denny, we're gonna put you to work some more.
Yes, sir.
This is the quick, easy one, though. I got the little budget.
005?
003.
3, number 3, 003. Thanks, Denny.
It's not on the wall.
Thanks, Denny.
Yes, sir. So not a whole lot changed on mine from last year. Big change you're going to see is on my salaries and wages. They are down just a little bit. I over budgeted last year for the maintenance position, so I got that more in line. And then on my health insurance, I over budgeted that last year as well, as I budgeted all of mine, and my department only pays 1/3 of mine, so that's where you guys are gonna see a big chunk. So overall, we're minus $20,000 on my budget. I added $10,000 to other services and charges for employee service warrants.
I was wondering where, I thought, okay, I don't see a word co on your budget.
It's at the very bottom.
Okay,
Employee recognition is what I
Okay.
listed it as.
okay.
So the administrative assistant, that's going to be moved to like an HR generalist?
Yeah, so what we're doing is you'll see when we do the salary ordinances, we're adding HR generalist to the HR salaries. Montana has done a fantastic job, and she went to SHRM and got certified as an HR professional. So we're going to make that a position to where she's more specific on what she's doing. And we won't have an administrative assistant. So we're not adding anybody, we're just adding a position.
Denny, your salaries pay, is it the third? Is it, how's that work?
Yes,
again?
mine is 1/3 from HR, 1/3 from wastewater, and 1/3 from fire.
Okay.
Any questions?
Thank you. I feel like I'm at the race.
I was
track.
in that.
Yeah, I feel like.
So Larry's first budget is tab 2204.
2204.
2204. Thanks, Larry.
How you guys are going through these.
That's our park operating budget. Start with personal services. We did the 2.5%.
Speak up just a little bit, Larry.
We did 2.5%. Longevity is in there. The longevity was 21,900 for our department, as we have 3 of us over 25, 30 years there. So, but this also includes an additional employee. It's been 8 years since we've had an additional employee, and as our workload continues to grow, we've added 2 parks. The future proposes more parks coming on to the north side up there. The workload on our facilities, we're in need of an additional employee, so that's figured in there. Insurance is 12% increase, it advised for us to do that. I will say that we have possibly some more family insurance coming this coming year as opposed to this year, as we have a lot of younger employees that are looking to get married and have families, so we budgeted a couple extra there. So overall, it's a 10% increase in the personal services, $2,070,400. Any questions on that? Move to office supplies, 0% increase there. Operating supplies, I feel comfortable with that. Again, 0% increase, we'll hold the line there. Repairs and maintenance supplies, we're going to hold the line on that too. I feel comfortable with that. Where we're concerned with supplies going up during COVID, which they did, I think they've came down a little bit. They're still expensive, but I think we can hold the line. And then, of course, our other supplies, $300 for snow removal meals if they're needed. 0% increase in supplies, $279,300. Professional services, 0% increase there as well, holding the line, 96.9. Communication transportation, no increase, $10,000. That's our cameras, our iPads, transportation, hotel expenses, things for our rec department. Printing and advertising, again, no increase, $24,000. Then we get to insurance, 10% increase. We're instructed to put in there $43,000. And Lynn had asked us to separate the workman compensation there, so I did that, $16,430 for workman compensation. Utilities, I feel comfortable keeping that the same. We did a lot to, install, updated our systems with energy efficient saving fixtures and our devices, our thermostats to regulate the heat. We did a very good job on being proactive to save energy, and I feel that we can make it another year without increases there. I know NIPSCO is going to go up 3-4% somewhere in there they talked about, but I still think we can make that. Get on the right page here. Repairs and maintenance. The big ticket item here is we like to asphalt at Central Park, the northeast lots. Those are the lots in front of Biblical Gardens, the 2 lots in front of Biblical Gardens. We did the Indiana Street parking lot. We did both shelter, the east and west shelter lots at Central Park. So these are across the road. Dustin and his crew did the turnaround for us when we did the pavilion. So this would be the ones in front of the Biblical Gardens area. The other big item in there is the sidewalk replacement at Central Park. We would like to do about 250 foot of sidewalk replacement on the circle inside Central Park on the west side. That's the side that's always underwater. We'd like to change the elevation on that and have the water go under the sidewalk into the drains as it was in 1994, I believe. Things have changed since though, so we'd like to get that back to where when it does rain or we have a rain event that people can use the sidewalk without wading through water there. So that's still an 8% decrease in that to $186,800. Rentals, 0% increase. Other services and charges, that's a 3% decrease, and that is due to that the fireworks for the Winer Lake fireworks has been pulled out of my budget now. I believe it's in the mayor's budget.
Thanks, Larry.
Yeah, so I'm glad you took that over for us, Jeff. So we got a 3% decrease there, so that's good. And then, of course, the award co, $6,000 for that, budgeted for 20 employees, and then $2,000 for events as we need them. So overall, that's a 1% decrease in other services and charges to $680,830. Capital outlays, here's where we get some expense. Restroom, building at Higher Park, sewer and water are already there. They ran right to the site. We've been trying to get this for a few years. It's been cut out of our budget, but I'm going to try again. So park buildings, that's 100% increase because we didn't have anything in there last year. And then machinery and equipment, $40,000 for a regular pickup truck. It's part of our 10-year maintenance plan for replacement. Playground replacement at Kittyland, $90,000. We did not replace any playground last year, and we need to get back on track for that to stay up with our standards. So riding mowers, $15,000. And then, of course, push mowers, trimmers, $2,000, and skate park, $6,000. So it's a 24% increase due to the playground equipment being budgeted this year. Total of capital outlay is $233,000. about an 89% increase for this due to the restroom building, the higher park, and the playground cost. So our total proposed budget is $3,263,530. This reflects a 10% increase above 2024. However, $192,900 of that is the addition to personal services, $6,000 to Wardco, $80,000 to the higher park restroom, and then about $30,000 extra for the playground equipment. So been pretty frugal on our department. We've held the line on everything. These are just some of the things that we'd like to see done. Plus, we'd like to have that additional help. So, any questions on that?
Larry, Higher Park, you're just continuing to have more and more events there.
Absolutely. It brings a lot of events in. I mean, all the way from April till October.
I see it.
Yeah. Yeah, they have, regional races. They have weekly races. They would like to get a national race there again sometime. So, brings a lot of people from surrounding towns, states, come to Higher Park. Yeah.
I encourage Larry to put it in. It's been on the radar, like you said, for
about 5 years now.
So.
Yeah, I was going to comment the same. I see a lot of activity there, and it would behoove us to have a nice restroom facility.
Like I said, we currently have a couple porta pots there, and then when they have big events, we get more porta pots to put there. But the grinder pump is there, and the water is there. I mean, everything's there. It's just the building's not there. So.
You guys have put up some really nice buildings lately, the restrooms that you've done.
Yeah. And it would be on the same thing as Buyer Park or Krebs Park. That's what we're looking at to do. Yes. Any questions on that budget? All right, we'll go to 2211, 2211. This is our non-reverting recreation budget. We did an increase of $2,000 here on supplies. We've used ARPA funds the last couple of years to supplement this. They'll run out next year, so we're looking to add $2,000 to that on our operating supplies. As far as printing and advertising, we're going to hold the line. So the total proposed budget is $25,350. As of this morning, I checked with Kelly, and there's current fund balance of $50,011.94 in there. So about half of what's in that fund we're requesting for budget. Any questions on that budget? All right, we'll go to the 4403. This is our non-reverting capital fund budget for the firemen's, the Nye Youth Cabin, and our kayak kiosks. One thing we'd like to do there in supplies, the sound panels at the firemen's building, they're about 12 years old. They're starting to decay, get brittle. We'd like to replace those. And then we'd like to do something with the restroom vanities. So we put $5,000 in there for supplies. Of course, our carpenters would do all the work. So total supplies, $8,000. Repairs and maintenance, here's a couple of things. Fireman's building floor, we have vinyl in there right now. We're getting a lot of seams that are coming apart. It's very dark, very dingy. We'd like to put a new floor in there. The Nye Youth Cabin, we've got a lot of, they're half timbers that cover that. And you just can't find replacements for them. We're starting to get decay on the bottom of those, so we're looking at cutting the decay out, putting nominal lumber in there, and then put insulation over it and then vinyl side it. I know it's been a cabin for years, but there's really no way to save that building other than to repair the damage and then put vinyl on it. And I think it'll be the same colors. It'll look kind of comparable to the pavilion, so it'll all go together with that boardwalk and connection. So, and then of course some signage at the Nye Youth Cabin. We'd like to put some nice signage on the cabin when it's all finished. So total repairs and maintenance $41,500. Rentals. They're offering our kayak kiosks company is offering. They're actually offering kiosks for bocce ball, table tennis, all these things. They've got everything now. But what I'd like to try for $750 is put a kiosk down there by the volleyball courts and the cornhole boards. So they offer a kiosk that would hold the volleyball and it would hold the cornhole bags. And just for a year, try it out. It's a year basis. Try it out and see if there's any demand for families coming to use our parks to rent these items to use the facilities. So I think it's worth the effort to try that, to see if there is a demand for it. And if there is, we'll move forward with it for the following year. If not, we'll remove it. So that's what that's in there for. Machinery and equipment, just normal upkeep on our kayak kiosks and our lockers, life jackets, paddles, kayaks, paddle boards if we need them. So $5,000 in there. So that makes the budget $55,250. And as of this morning, there was $115,773.32 in there. So again, less than half of what's available in the fund. So any questions on that? I apologize if I get a little weak on my talk. I don't have saliva and I get dry. But I'm trying. Anything else? Good? All right, thanks so much.
Thank you. Dustin?
Okay, we'll start with our general fund here.
It's 0 at tab 8.
What was that?
Number 8.
Tab 8.
008.
008.
008.
Okay, so salaries and wages, you see about a 3.8% increase there. Again, the 2.5%, some overtime expense budgeted, longevity added in. We did add another employee. We had this in our budget last year, but did not end up adding. As we're moving forward, we've got a very solid team right now, and we still need that extra person, but it's going to be the right person to join our team at that time, and not just moving somebody in. We came a long way. We got one of the best teams we've ever had, and that I've ever had a chance to be a part of. So again, we've got that ability there to add another employee if we get the right employee, but again, it's going to be somebody that fits with our needs. So as far as employee benefits, about a 6.5% increase. Again, that's typical per HR, what the recommendations were. We do have a little bit insurance increase there due to some younger team members that may end up getting married. The personal services has not changed. All in all, your personal services was about a 7% increase total for that.
Dustin, how many do you have working there for you?
We have 36 with 2 part-timers currently, so there's 38 down there, but 36 full-time.
Thank you.
Moving on to office supplies, there's no change, still at $5,000 there. Our 220s, no change there again. That's again our cleaning supplies, oil, fuel, antifreeze, batteries, tires, all the necessary day-to-day. Repair and maintenance supplies, you just see a $10,000 increase. That was in street signs, and this is a theoretical kind of basement idea at this moment. Well, we increased $10,000. We've got a lot of developments coming in as you think back to the beginning of this council meeting, which I know has been a little bit ago, but where you were passing the sign ordinance and adopting those signs in there. So Jeremy, Justin, Aaron, and I have all kind of talked about, moving forward, we may impose a fee as new developments come in to have the street department actually go ahead and process those signs and make sure the ordinance is taken care of and that stuff is handled. So getting a thumbs up from Jack. So again, we're in the just basement, steps of that, but we did go ahead and put it in the budget so we can make that happen if that is the case, make everything a little bit smoother there as that comes through. So Overall for supplies, that was the only increase, so you had a $10,000 increase, about 1%, so. Moving on to professional services, again, for engineering fees, that's no change. We're comfortable where we're at there. Communication and transportation, a lot of seminars, a lot of training events here coming up. Again, feeding our employees with knowledge and making them have the best information available. A little bit of an increase there, about a $10,000 increase. Utilities, we did raise $10,000. NIPSCO is going to have another increase. Our building is very, very old. There's always plenty of maintenance and in and outs, so we did up our utilities a little bit. Under repairs and maintenance, you'll see about a $100,000 increase in total. Again, our repairs to buildings has not changed. Our tree removal has not changed. Weed control, brush grinding is no change. We did up $300,000 in a community crossings grant match. Last year we had it as $200,000, and it was for street signal or traffic signal to be put in. This year was the first year they upped it to $1.5 million match over the $1 million, that it prior was. So getting with that $1.5 million to match is extremely tough. That's limiting, what we can do. So this out of our state funded budgets that you'll see here shortly. So adding that $300,000 in there was just to give us a little boost to make sure that if that dollar is available, as still at 1.5 million, that again, it's a 50% match that we're going to take that, be able to meet that 1.5 million and turn it into $3 million worth of projects. So that's what that is. Rentals, no change. Landfill, we are getting, we just ran through the Board of Works. We are getting ready to advertise for our landfill dumping fees. So I have a little bit of standard increase there. The standard recycling, we just bid that out last year, so that's just a 3% increase there. And $7,400 for our Awardco employee recognition, which, again, thank you, Denny, for all you've done with that. Our employees are the best asset we possibly have, and it's great all his work he's put through that. So doing fantastic. So that was our increase for there. Moving on to machinery and equipment, about $860,000 for next year, about a 2.27 decrease or percent decrease. So again, we added one large plow truck. A couple lawnmowers that we will update. Again, our lawnmowers, we buy our Mow Crew mowers. They're on a 3-year full factory warranty. We trade them every 3 years. We keep them things under warranty. Skid steer with trade. Again, this is something that we started several years ago. Full factory warranty for 2 years. Every 2 years we swap one out. So rear load garbage truck. We've updated a lot of our garbage equipment that was really, really old. So we moved, this will be the last truck to be updated, and all of them will be updated for now. Some hook lift truck attachments. Again, these chassis are getting so expensive, so we've moved to some of these hook lifts. So again, that we can swap out and do more than one thing with the vehicles. So attachments there. And a couple of our skid loader attachments are just getting, kind of wore out. So looking at replacing some pickup brooms that we use on the paving crew to sweep and things of that nature that are probably 8 to 10 years old currently. So a little bit of a decrease there, but all in all, operating fund total for the general budget, $6,894,945, just under 5% increase. Again, a majority of that was due to the wages, longevity, and Awardco factored in with community crossings grant match. So, questions there? Okay. Move on to 2201, Lynn.
That's fine.
Okay, we'll go to 2201, which is our MBH budget. So, In our 220s for operating supplies, road salt and anti-icing liquids, 170,000, no change there. Again, our 230s, this is our materials. We're buying asphalt patch, things of that nature for our own workers to do. 60,000 there, no change. Traffic signs in our 290, again, very similar to last year. Same with 360. We have $200,000 for repair and maintenance for contracted work and paint striping. So, again, extremely similar to what, actually it's pretty well exact of what last year's was, which has had us in a good spot. So. No questions there. We'll move on to 2202, which is local road and street. Again, didn't make any changes to this budget. We got $250,000 in our 230s. This is repair and maintenance supplies for asphalt, patch, different things. This is our guys doing the work. So $250,000 there, which we can stretch pretty darn far compared to contracting the work. But $100,000 in contracted work in that budget for a total of $350,000 at no change.
You can only use local road and street funds on certain things, correct? You can't use it for.
Local roads and streets is pretty flexible, actually.
Oh, is it? Okay.
The next one, you're right,
Okay.
is extremely
That's what I was
strict.
getting
So 2203 is our MVH restricted budget. Again, it has to mirror the same amount as our MVH currently, but this is one that, I mean, it has to be specific road building materials. There is, you can't buy a stop sign out of this or anything of that nature. It's got to be specific materials, going right into road building. So that with that project, we usually have typically used this $450,000 as our CCMG match to put towards a full reconstruction project. So that's where it'll go again next year as well. And last but certainly not least, 2250 is our wheel tax budget. So in our 230s there, again, this is our guys doing the work. No change, got another $150,000 in that budget. And in our 360, our contracted work, again, it's the same as what we budgeted last year. This is $550,000. So if you look at that $550,000 plus the $450 that we just had in MVH restricted, there's where your $1 million of your CCMG match is coming from.
And as of June 30th, they had quite a nice little balance in there, so.
Yeah, as far as what's projected out of what should take in, we're right around 500,000, but we've had so much in the reserves in that account that we've actually been drawing a little bit more than what we're actually bringing in, but it's still in extremely well shape. Questions there? Thank you.
Matt, I forget, I don't want to put you on the spot, but your footprint within our jurisdiction, are we getting close to 10 million that your department is able to do for the city? So I know you got your budget amounts, but
As far as for other departments and stuff?
just for you, just for what you do, your department. I thought I remember hearing almost 10 million, 9 million something, that you were able to use other funding like that.
On our public fund, yes. No, well, I guess when we do our annual operations report, last year alone, we spent just over $3.3 million right back into our infrastructure. So, yeah, over the last, 4 years, yeah, we're probably pushing 12, 13 million that we put back in. So, very big number. And if looking at those state-funded budgets, we're we're at about 1.7 million. So being able to put in 3.3 on tracking every dollar back into stuff has been huge. But a lot of leverage with grant funding, a lot of things that trying to make those dollars stretch just as far as they possibly can. So.
Any questions for Dustin? Thank you.
Thank you
very much.
Jeremy, you're scheduled next year. Why would you do that? Well, that doesn't mean you get the rest of the night either, to like midnight.
Justin,
Is that
don't
okay?
say
Point
he's
of
a nice
order, or
guy.
are
Do
we
not
good?
say that, yeah.
Justin's tab's number 9.
Number 9.
Everybody good?
I'll just dive right in since we've been here for a little bit. Have the 2.5% increase for the salary full-time employees for next year. There was also a need to increase the amount allocated to BZA and Plan Commission members, since compensation for that was increased from $30 to $50. This increase was not reflected on previous budgets, so we just wanted to make sure we added that this year. Let's see here. So with that increase for board members added to the salary increase came to 3.6%, but again, we're only adding that 2.5 for the salaried employees. Longevity pay was a new category item for this year for personal services. So that totals $7,680 for the department. There were also changes in allocation for, there was no change in allocation for dental insurance this year. Medical insurance was increased by 12%. Perf allocation was 2%. FICA was 1%. We also increased the cell phone allowance to 25%, which equates to $960. That was for the new engineering assistant and any potential staffing changes we had next year. We just want to make sure we increase that to allow for those changes. Total change to personnel services was 6% for 2025. The next category we have is supplies. This includes operating supplies and office supplies. There was no proposed increase for this year. Other services and charges has a proposed increase of 3% this year. This is due to a 4% increase in professional services to help cover the increasing costs for consultants and the creation of a new employee recognition program, which you've heard about already this evening. Communication and transportation, maintenance and repairs, vehicle maintenance, subscriptions and dues will remain unchanged for the next year, so there's no proposed increase there. Other capital outlays will also remain unchanged for 2025. So that brings the total planning budget to $995,144. So if you have any questions, please let me know.
Do you have enough in your conference budget for your new assistant engineer to keep up their license?
Yeah, so we pay for a half of the assistant engineer's salary. So that was incorporated into this budget this year. We may have to look deeper if there's another addition in that department. We have to look and see if those numbers shake out. So.
Okay.
Justin, how many employees you have up there now?
So when we're staffed up, we have 8, depending on, we have GIS as well. So it's kind of in flux, but there's a GIS assistant, which may fall under another umbrella next year. So there's some wiggle room there, but about 8 is where we're at.
Attempts are being made, Mike, to take anything directly, and I'm probably not saying this right, indirectly technology and move it into one group, my direction as mayor. But it's going to take us a year or two to work through all of that. So. GIS part of that. Any questions for Justin? Any other questions? Justin, thanks for all you
Thanks.
do. Thank you. And now,
Jeremy, you have 5 minutes.
Got 5 minutes? Only 5 minutes?
where do we begin,
You can start with your tech park if you want to.
Yeah, you tell me which one you want to do, and that's the order I'll go in.
We'll start
Since
with tech park.
your book's probably better ordered than me, so.
And that's tab 2237.
So all of our budgets, or all of my budgets that I present tonight are not necessarily tax rate based, unlike a lot of the budgets you've just heard from. So they are mostly increment based outside of the redevelopment general, which is a part of the city's tax rate. But the rest are increment based. Technology park is one of those that's increment based. So it's basically money in, money out. The technology park is capped at 5 million total. And you can see, I provided you a history and a revenue. So you can see we're a little over halfway to that 5 million. But so end of last year, we had about just under 1.5 million in the funds. We expect and have been receiving around $500,000 in revenue per year based on that increment, which gave us a total funds for this year of around 1.9 million. We had a budget of this year of around 1.8 million. Gave us a year-end balance going into next year of around 196,000. So next year revenue of $500,000 gives you around 696,000 for total funds available in 2025. We put about 50,000 in professional services, another 50,000 in property acquisition, and the bulk of it in capital outlays, which would be project-based of 350,000. Which gives us a total budget of next year of around 450,000. The funds in this will depend on what gets spent out this year versus what's spent out next year, but what was budgeted this year is around that 1.8 million, depending on the revenue that we get in. So we can't spend what we don't have.
It's looking nice out there, though.
It is.
Yeah, I drove by there today just to go through. It's like, wow.
Yeah, and this is, the collection of these taxes are obviously not dealing with the property taxes, so they're income taxes and sales tax based. So the property tax is actually going into the Northern TIF fund, but this increment comes from the sales tax and the income tax. Any questions on that one?
Like to do redevelopment general next.
So this is the only budget that I'll present that is tax-based, which means it is a part of the city's overall tax. Current balance in 2024 was just over 600,000. On a yearly basis, we expect that revenue to be around 210,000, which gave us a total of a little over 800,000 for 2024. 2024's budget was around 265,000, which left us an end balance in 2024 of around 563,000. So going into next year, expected revenue of around 210, depending on the tax rate, will give us around $770,000 in total funds for 2025. This is one of the two budgets that a portion of our wages come out of, and I think you should have like a salary breakdown as well as part of this budget. My wages come out of 4 different funds, so they're kind of spread out. They come out of edit, they come out of wastewater, they come out of Northern TIF, and they come out of the redevelopment general. My assistance comes out of redevelopment general, and I think edit. So our wages are kind of split through different budgets, but wages benefits for next year in this category is around $75,680, a little bit of an increase from last year based on that 2.5%, as well as longevity would be factored into that category. Office supplies stay the same. I am increasing professional services as we have more projects that we're working on. Requires more legal and financial services to complete those projects. Travel budget of $500 stays the same. Printing stays the same at $2,500. Our bonds every year, the redevelopment commission per state statute has to have bonds, so those funds cover those bonds for the redevelopment commission members. Am increasing other services. This would be any services related to equipment and so forth for the department. Infrastructure projects. So the redevelopment general, the nice thing about the redevelopment general budget, and I've said this before, it's one of the few budgets that can be spent across the entire city. Most of our budgets are specific to districts that the funds are coming out of. The redevelopment general is not. It's an operating budget for the entire city's redevelopment efforts. So that $150,000 could be spent anywhere within the city and it's not bound by a district. Gives us a total budget for 2025 of $292,180 and a year-end balance of around $480 at the end of 2025. A little bit of an increase over this year's budget.
Did you figure longevity into your wages on this one?
Yeah, it's factored in there.
Didn't have
It's
it.
spread out over different budgets. That's why it's not necessarily all in one.
Oh,
Is there any questions with that one?
want to do northern residential tip next?
I can.
It's 4446.
4446.
4446.
So we have 2 residential TIFs that we created a few years ago, and they're starting to generate a little bit of cash. So beginning of this year, we had just under $500,000 in current balance in that fund. We expect the revenue to be around $260,000 this year, which gave us around $750,000 in funds. This year's budget had professional services of $35,000, capital outlays of $300,000, and a total of $335,000. Year-end balance expected around $421,000. Once again, I expect the revenue to go up a little bit in 2025 to around $280,000, so it gives us around $700,000 for next year's budget in 2025. I have put $45,000 in professional services and $500,000 in capital outlays, which gives us roughly $545,000 in total budget and a year-end balance of around $156,000. So as increment comes in, we plan projects. We've got quite a few residential projects that we're working on in that northern TIF district, i.e. being Alta Vista being one, and then Bella Augusta's second phase, and then what's the other one's name? Oakmont has a development, Asherwood. All 3 of those are projects that we're working on. I don't know where the capital is going to be at specifically next year, but that's what that capital will be placed for, is those projects, whether it be water, sanitary sewer, or roads. That infrastructure or those funds will go towards incentivizing those developments.
Southern residential tip. It's the next tab, so 4447.
So Northern Residential TIF has quite a bit of growth occurring. Obviously, one of the reasons why we created the Southern Residential TIF was to try to incentivize development on the south side. By putting in a lift station, we're starting to generate some new growth in that area, but it's a little bit slower than obviously the Northern Residential TIF. So starting the beginning of this year, we had around $273,000 in the balance. Expected revenue of around $185 gave us around $450,000 for total funds. This year's budget was $50,000 in professional services and $200,000 in capital outlays. A total budget of $250,000, which gave us around $200,000 at the end of this year. Going into next year, I expect that revenue to increase a little bit as well, which gives us about $190,000 in expected revenue, or around $400,000 in total funds. So next year's budget will be $50,000 in professional services, and then $300,000 in capital outlays, which is a total budget of $350,000, and leave us just under $50,000 of a balance, depending on what projects get completed. The bulk of these funds right now will be targeted towards some residential pathways, some connectivity. So we're looking at how we can connect the school with some of our subdivisions out there. So that's going to be what projects we're looking at next year. So might be some sidewalk improvements within those neighborhoods. Any questions on that one?
So Northern TIF and redevelopment allocation are together now, correct?
Yes.
So we'll do Northern TIF next.
All right.
Oh,
4448.
yeah, thank you.
4448.
So this TIF district, obviously with what we did this year was combining redevelopment allocation, which was the original downtown TIF district, with the northern TIF district, which includes the technology park as well as the airport industrial park, which gives us one very large TIF district, but also gives us a lot of flexibility in spending those funds generated within that TIF district for a lot of different projects that we have going on within the city. So the good news is with those connections, now we have a lot more flexibility with the funds that are being generated within that district. The bad news is we got a lot more pressure on those funds because now we've got a lot more projects that we can potentially use those funds for. So going into the beginning of this year, we had around 8.9 million in current balance with expected revenue of around 3.3 million, gave us a total of around 12.2 million in total funds. We've got a lot of bond payments that we make out of this, as well as sewage payments are part of our pledge to the sewage. So our salaries, a large portion of my salaries, as well as a portion of the engineer salaries, come out of this fund. So last year or this year, we have around 102,000 in salaries. Sewage bond pledge, this will continue on for the life of the northern TIF district. So that 600,000 is pledged towards that sewage bond every year. Winona PVD 1, 2, and 3 bonds are paid out of this. The Warsaw Commons, which is the Thompson and Thrift, or the Coles development, is also paid out of this. That bond, that bond payment's paid out of the northern TIF. The Airport Industrial Park bond is paid out of this TIF district as well. We had roughly 900,000 in engineering this year. 5,000 in property acquisition, and then 3.5 million in infrastructure projects slated for this year, with a total budget of a little over 6 million. Gave us an end balance of this year around 6.2. Going into next year, expected revenue will probably increase a little bit, but I've held it the same for this budgeting purposes. So we're going to have around 9.5 million in total funds available for next year. Salaries of 108,000, so that went up a little bit. 600,000 bond stays the same for the sewage pledge. The Winona PVD bonds, the Warsaw Commons bonds, and the airport bonds are all based on the bond payment schedules for those bonds. So that dollar amount is based on those bond payments. You'll see the Buffalo Street bond is now in this budget as where it wasn't last year because of those two being combined. So the Buffalo Street bond will come out of this budget as well. Engineering went down a little bit. We'll have $650,000 in professional services next year. Property acquisition of 5,000, that stays the same. Infrastructure projects went up a little bit to 3.7 million. Gives us a total budget next year of $6,189,285. A couple of things with this district. Anchorage Road was slated for this year. It's not, so some of that money that was budgeted for this year based on the utility relocation and the time frame that it's going to take is going to get kicked to next year. So some of those professional service and some of that capital project money that's in this year's budget will be shifted to next year's budget. So when you see that 650,000 and that 3.7 million, that the bulk of those funds are going to cover that Anchorage Road project. We have some other projects that we're working on. We've got the roundabout being engineered. We've got 300 North that we're working with Dustin on, and on what time frame that goes. That may be a CMG project that we put funds towards, as well as some improvements on 200 North. So a lot of different projects. We've got the Owens project downtown. Some of that money could come from this budget as well. still trying to figure out what to do with Marsh. So a lot of flexibility in the funds that we have, but a lot of demand on those funds. But the primary funds that are in this budget will probably go towards Anchorage Road next year.
Where is 3312, the park bond? Where is it coming out of?
The what bond?
The
The
park,
park bond has its own rate. We
Yeah.
haven't gone over that one yet. I'll probably do it when we do it.
okay.
It's not, it's a park district bond, so it's just like the general obligation bond, only it's the park district bond.
Okay, all right, so that came from the tax revenue rather than TIF money, right?
It's part of your bonding capacity. You're talking about the park department's
Yeah.
bond? Yeah, I would assume that's part of your bonding capacity, but yeah.
I think, yes, I think it
That's
was-
part of the city, not
Yeah, it's
necessarily
part of the
within.
Part of the city, okay.
Yeah.
I just didn't know where it fit in. I knew it wasn't in the park budget anymore, but I didn't know where.
It has its own budget.
Okay.
So a lot happening in this district, so if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me.
Would you like to do Wainona Interurban next?
I certainly can.
4449.
So going into this year, we had around $95,000 in that budget. Expected revenue around $30,000 gave us around $125,000 in total funds for this year. We budgeted $20,000 in professional services and $40,000 in capital outlays, which gave us a total budget of $60,000 and a year-end balance of around $65,000. Those funds this year were kind of earmarked towards that Winona interurban redevelopment and the GACI project and those costs. For next year, beginning balance of around 65, expected revenue of around 26,000, which is a deduction. Obviously, as we acquire property out there, the revenue is going to go down because we don't pay taxes. And then as we redevelop them, property taxes hopefully will go up. So total funds for 2025 is around 91,000, 25,000 in professional services, and then the remaining 40,000 in capital outlays. Gives us a budget of 65,000 and a year-end balance of around 26. All the funds in this budget are going to be focused on GACI and the Winona area, as well as potentially the Warsaw Chemical Site development. So all of those, that area, that's what these funds are going to be focused on. Hopefully, we'll be issuing the GACI bond in the next couple of weeks. They have released the demolition. I know that was released last week, so hopefully we'll start to see some demolition work occur on the property when we get that project underway. Any questions on that one? You look puzzled.
Do you have a budget for Marketplace?
Yes. Do you not have the budget for
We do
Marketplace?
not have the budget for Marketplace.
Sounds
It's
like a
not-
problem.
I don't have that tab.
That sounds like a problem for you. I have the budget for Marketplace. This one really isn't, there's really nothing to this one. It's basically a bond budget. So the bond payment money comes in and then it goes back out. So whatever our bond payments for 2025 are, in this case, it's $151,602. That's the expected revenue. That's the expected payment out. So there's really nothing to the Marketplace budget, but we'll make sure that you guys get it in the books. This was obviously the redoing of Marketplace, that bond we issued. So as that revenue comes in, it goes out. Any shortfalls in that revenue for the first 5 years are paid by the developer. Any shortfalls in year 6 through 10 is paid for by us. Any shortfalls after year 10 is paid by Lake City Bank. Does that make sense?
So far it's keeping up.
What's that?
So far it's keeping up.
No,
no.
not yet. I'm hoping it will increase as the years go on. Obviously, Bell's going in there will help. Obviously, Big Lots going out is not going to help. But I think the the space having been remodeled is going to be more marketable, significantly more marketable than what it was prior. And I know that they've got another big project that we're working on that hopefully if it works out, I think it'll take care of that problem. So hopefully good things to come.
Yeah, Jeremy, can you just tell us for clarification, so what is the source of income to pay off that bond?
Property taxes.
Okay, so it's strictly
So
off
when
the
it,
property tax.
yeah, so because it had been 90% vacant, it was depressed in terms of the value it was paying in taxes. When they bought it, when we did the bond, they put money back into it. We're collecting the difference between where it was at and the value that it's at today, and that's what pays those bonds. And that's the same for most of our bonds, especially when they're project-based. The airport industrial park was not project-based. That was infrastructure. That was us providing sanitary sewer throughout that industrial park. And that is purely based on the increment that we were generating within that district. Because we had a lot of projects that were generating revenue, we were able to capture that revenue and put it into infrastructure. So that bond is purely paid for by the growth that we've created within that district.
Jeremy's influence on my office is very, very great. I was with him for, whether he liked it or not, a couple hours today, going through things. And the reminder for me, going through these budgets a month or two ago and then now tonight, the amount in the millions that he is dealing with and its impact not only on us, the public sector, but what it's doing to encourage private sector investment. Obviously not easy, but his ability to do the things that he does, we are benefiting greatly from it. So thanks, Jeremy, for all of your work.
I get the fun work.
What? You get the-
I get the fun job, right? I get to go around and try to incentivize new developments, create new buildings, create new projects. So yeah,
Create new
I get the fun part.
Okay, I don't know why we didn't have it. I'll check tomorrow.
Any questions for Jeremy? Jeremy, thank you very
Thank you.
much. I want to thank all the department heads for their presentations. I want to thank several of you for sticking around here and going through all this. I also want to thank the council for going through budgeting part one. Remember, next month we will come in at 6 o'clock again and we'll work through other budgets for you. I want to appreciate or thank all of you for your patience with my office, and Lynn, big thanks to you. My first round here in this seat. It's been a learning experience, a positive experience. And again, I appreciate all of your patience and willingness to help me walk through this. There isn't any other matters to come before the board. Any questions? Any questions? Aaron, you doing okay back there? All quiet tonight. Yeah, good. Good to see you. Okay, with that, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. We're adjourned. Have a good and safe evening at 8:37.
Aries just